Alright, our final three problems are actually the reverse. What happens if we square root? Well, it works like squaring, but in reverse. So we want to get the square root alone on one side of the equal sign. Then if we said earlier that squaring and square rooting undo each other, well, you undo the square root by squaring then. And notice this time you only get one solution. The reason you only get one solution is because you can only square root positive numbers. Remember above we were able to say, oh, 5 squared and negative 5 squared equal 25. We're able to square positive and negative numbers. But if we did this in reverse, the square root of 25 versus the square root of negative 25, remember that this one would equal 5, but then this one would equal an error. So you can only square root positive numbers, and so this time you only are allowed one solution. So let's test this out. In number 6, the square root of something minus 2 is 9. Well, we want to get the square root alone, so anything on the side that is not a square root, we want to get rid of it. So that minus 2, we want to 0 pair it out with a positive 2. So we get that the square root is now equal to 11. So step number 1 is done. Step number 2 says we undo a square root by squaring. Remember these two symbols cancel each other, so those two cancel, leaving just x. Remember, if you square one side, you have to square the other. And I just like to get in the habit when I square things of putting them in parentheses, because later we'll have some negative numbers that I want you to remember. You square. And so 11 squared gets us 121. As always, if you are not confident, you can check your answer. The square root of x, well, we said the square root of x is 121. Then we minus 2 equals 9. Remember, you only square root what is over the number. So we're not squaring 121 minus 2, we're just square rooting 121, which gets to be 11 minus 2, and that is 9. So 121 is our solution. Okay, same thing here. We want to get the square root alone on one side. Well, actually, on this left side, there is nothing else except the square root. So we're actually all set with that one. We can jump straight to step 2, where we undo the square by squaring, or square root by squaring. If you square one side, you have to square the other. So remember, that gets rid of this and this, leaving us with what's ever left. It's kind of like a trap. What's ever on top now went away, and what's ever left remains. And then remember, this is 4 squared, so this is 4 times 4, which is 16. Don't put 8 there. And now suddenly this looks like a problem we've been solving all day, or all week so far, where we add 3 to both sides, and you get that 2x equals 19. And now it's just divide by 2, so what is that, 8.5? Yeah. If you're not sure, let's plug it in. Our problem says take 2 times whatever your x value is. So 8.5, then we subtract 3. Does that equal 4? Well, order of operations are weird with square roots. You can only square root one number. So you are going to follow order of operations until you get one number, and multiplication comes before subtracting. So 2 times 8.5 is, I think this should be 9.5. If you guys are watching this video and you're like, Mrs. Kilgus, it is 9.5, good job. I'm making this video at like 11:30 at night. So, let's try this again. This is why we like checking our answers. 2 times 9.5 is 19 minus 3, and we want to check if that equals 4. Well, when we check and we say, well, we can only square root one number, so we have to subtract these, so it's the square root of 16. Well, the square root of 16 is 4. Whoa, I love that. I don't even know what happened with my smiley face, but it drew some eyelashes, so we'll carry that on. Okay, I'm gonna get you started on 8, and then see what you remember with some fractions. So remember before, we have to get the square root alone on one side. Well, we're trying to get this alone. We can't have that fraction, or we can't solve that until it's out of a fraction. So remember, fractions are just division. So to undo that divide by 5, we're going to multiply by 5, and that just undoes the 5. If we do it to one side, we have to do it to the other. So we have the square root of 2/3 x equals 30 now. I want you to try to solve for x and plug it in and see if you get the right value. So go ahead and pause the video and play it when you are ready to check out the answer. Okay, this was a bigger number, but when I left you, you had to square both sides to get rid of the square root. So you would have gotten what I have in green here, 2/3 x equals 900. Remember, that's 30 times 30 there. And then you might have divided by 2/3, but remember that trick that you can multiply by the reciprocal, which is this part here, the flipped fraction, because that actually cancels out, leaving us with x, or it makes 1. 3/2 times 2/3 makes 6/6, which is just 1x. And so when we do that to the other side, remember you multiply straight across, you get 2700, and if it's not in a fraction, you can put it over 1, and that's how we got the 2. And you could have left it as a fraction, or you could have divided it out because it was a friendly number. Okay, nice job. Go ahead and take out your A.2.2 worksheet and spend the rest of class working on that. Whatever is not finished, please finish for homework and bring tomorrow. Send a picture of your notes to the Schoology assignment and then bring your worksheet in person, please. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow.